I want to say good morning to you. 14 minutes past the o'clock hour this morning on WNCR-TV Now, WAJ 102.5. We're talking about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Again, good morning to each and every one of you. What morning is this? Is it Wednesday already? I guess it is Wednesday, the 16th of April. A day, of course, we've never seen before. Let me see if I can get some things here calibrated in regards to this matter. Okay. Well, maybe not. Okay, so we'll go back to our Monday City Council meeting where they talked about some community code issues relative to a area in our community there or here as well. So we'll trying to get that queued up. And of course, another individual, Anthony, I forget Mr. Anthony's last name, but he came up about de-annexation, which that was something new for Rocky Mount.
Good evening.
My name is Alice Davis. I reside at 211 Madison Street. Tonight, I'm here to petition the property next door to me, which is 215 Madison Street. The house is currently vacant. It's under probate. A lot of legal matters is taking place on that particular property. However, there is 2 abandoned cars on the property, fencing that is almost to the ground, and it's in disrepair, which I consider dilapidated. I've contacted code enforcement, and they have been trying to work with the person who is on paper the owner of the property, but legally she is not. They cannot correspond with her because of her attitude, and I just don't know what to do at this particular time. I have talked to the owner, one owner of the vehicle, and he said that he had permission to put the car there, and he indicated that Edgecombe County would never look any better. The other owner of the vehicle, the second vehicle, he's currently incarcerated doing fed time. So we know we can't correspond with him. Code enforcement has informed me that being that the cars are covered, there is nothing that they can do about it. But when I looked at the code, it say abandoned. And I don't care if someone have given you permission, abandoned is abandoned. And towing, he said they couldn't do anything about the fencing simply because it wasn't completely on the ground. I don't understand why we have a code and nobody is following it. This is why Edgecombe County, I hate to say it, looks the way it looks. I am calling on our city councilmen to look into this issue, especially Councilman Blackwell, who is the councilman for Ward 2. I had some chickens. I have recently gotten rid of them. I disassembled the run, and I put the debris on the side of Rose Street. This particular individual, just this Saturday, came and pulled the debris to my front yard. She said Rose Street was her property, and it wasn't on her property. The police know her quite well, and I'm not trying to bring family matters to the city. I just want the cars and the property fixed up. And it appears to me that Mr. Cook has no intentions of talking to me. I've called him on numerous occasions and asked to meet with him. As I sit here today, he has not. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I have your contact information here, and I'll ask city staff if they will follow up with you.
Community code enforcement. Of course, the city's over the years been talking about code enforcement and what to do about it, I guess, as relates to areas. And, I don't know. We talk about this all the time, and it seems to always fall flat. But that is that eventually I need to, really look at a block by block, a targeted area for redevelopment. Even make that priority area, right, and make tier systems or whatever they're doing. But again, oftentimes we have these one-offs because we are not consistent in our planning as to one, say one individual to another is what we generally see happening within our community. And so they say, well, what happened to this project? What happened to this and what happened to that? Because we move on to the next thing because there's never really a tiered, structured plan in place to ensure that whatever it is we intend to do, we actually do it in a follow-up process as well. So that's kind of some of the things that we have going on there. Now, let me find another thing here. And I thought this photo was interesting. I shared it on my Facebook page. Oh, I got something else I want to share this morning as well. But I thought this photo was quite interesting. What in the world? Ain't doing too much stuff right here. All right, so come on, slow computer. There we go. So someone has to share this, and of course I shared it on yesterday. I thought this was a pretty cool photo here. And so I'll share it with the television and Facebook Live and YouTube audience on today. And that is this photo here. It says, when rich people rob the poor, it's called business. When the poor fights back, it's called violence. And I thought that was a very profound statement to say. Again, when the rich rob the poor, it's called business. When the poor fights back, it's called violence. And I go back and think about the number of protests and things that folks have, and one call it a disturbance and this, that, and the third, and relegate people who are protesting to a particular area. But yet the very actions that legislative bodies are making are certainly detrimental to the citizens by large. And it is, you deal with it or get locked up essentially. And so find laws to not find laws, but create laws that would put you in a position in which failure is about, and put you in a position, as I said before, where you feel as though nothing else would ever change. Now, another thing that I saw, and I'm actually going to read this on my phone, so I'm not looking over like that. Let me see here. I was about to say the same thing I said the other day, puppy power. Why does that continue to be in my little head? And I ain't seen Scooby-Doo forever. So this was shared. I shared this about a day ago, but it said in response, this is in response to the Trump administration is giving school districts 10 days to respond in order to comply with anti-DEI. It was an ultimatum there that was given. So this was dated on April the 8th, 2025. It says, to whom it may unfortunately concern at the U.S. Department of Education, thank you for your April the 3rd memorandum, which I read several times, not because it was legally persuasive, but because I kept checking to see if it was satire. At last, it appeared you're serious. You've asked me, as a superintendent of public school district, to sign a certification declaring that we are not violating federal civil rights laws by apparently acknowledging that civil rights issues still exist. You cite Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, then proceed to argue that offering targeted support to historically marginalized students is somehow discriminatory. That is not legally coherent. It is physiological. Strip a sign of bad faith. Let me see if I understand your logic. If we acknowledge racial disparities, that's racism. If we help English learners catch up, that's favoritism. If we give a disabled child a reading aid, we're denying someone else a chance to struggle equally. If we train teachers to understand bias, we are indoctrinating them. But if we train them to ignore it, we are restoring neutrality. How convenient that your sudden concern for equal treatment seems to apply only when it's used to silence conversations about race, identity, and inequities. Let's talk about English learners. Would you like us to stop offering translation services during parent-teacher conference? Should we counsel bilingual staff support to avoid the appearance of special treatment? Or would you prefer us to teach all content in English and hope for the best, since the knowledge and linguistic barriers now counts as discrimination? And while we're at it, what is your official stance on IEPs? Because last I checked, individualized education plans intentionally give students with disability extra support. Should we start removing accommodations to avoid offending the able-bodied majority? Maybe counsel occupational therapy altogether so that no one feels left out? If a student has a learning disability receiving extended time on a test, should we now give everyone extended time, even if they don't need it, just to keep the playing field sufficiently flat and unthinking? Your letters paints equity as a threat, but equity is not the threat. It is the antidote to the decades of failure. Equity is what ensures all students have a fair shot. Equity is what makes it possible for students with a speech impediment to present at the science fair. It's what helps a nonverbal kindergartner use a ACC device. It is what gets a newcomer from Ukraine to the ELS supports that she needs without being left behind. And let's not skip the past and most insulting part of your directive, the 10-day deadline. A national directive sent to thousands of districts with subsidy with the sublet of a ransom note, demanding signatures within a week and a half, or else you will cut off funding that it supports. Wait for it. Low-income students, disabled students, and English learners. Brilliant, just brilliant. A moral victory for bullies and bureaucrats everywhere. So no, we're not signing your certification. We're not interested in joining your theater of compliance. We're not interested in guilt equity programs that serve actual children in exchange for your political approval. We're not interested in abandoning our legal, ethical, and educational responsibilities to satisfy your fear facts. We're interested in teaching truth. We're interested in honoring our students' identities. We're interested in building a school system where no child is invisible or no teacher is punished for caring too much. And then it went away. There it is. Caring too much. And yes, we are prepared to fight this in the courts, in the press, in the community, in Congress if need be. Because this district will not be remembered as one who folded under pressure. We will be remembered as one that stood its ground, not for politics, but for kids. Sincerely, District Superintendent, still teaching, still caring, still not signing. I thought that was a very interesting letter there. Now, the truthfulness of it, I have no idea, but they say it is true, and the name was withheld. But that is a letter that brings context to a lot of the interesting things. I would almost say it's crazy things that is happening in our nation, especially when it surrounds itself by public education and the future of our country, for our children, access to things, and understanding there are marginalized communities. Obviously, here in North Carolina, we have tier 1 through 3 counties which receive different things. In fact, as I talk about that, I want to also talk about, and I'm going to find the data while I get this phone call. I'll tell you what. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bronson.
Good morning.
I applaud that person, whoever it was that wrote that letter. What is equity? We forget about it. And I want to say I attended the city council meeting on Monday, and I had been on my legs all day, and everybody knows I have problems with my legs. Well, when I entered the municipality, I looked around. There's no wheelchairs. There's no mobility scooters. There ain't nobody to help you. And I called one of the officials yesterday, and I said, I would like to petition that you all get some type of vehicles so that people with physical disabilities can get to one spot to the other. And the simple word was, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. That is a reasonable accommodation. The American with Disabilities Act says, if a person is in need of, you should supply reasonable accommodation. That is nothing to ask for. I didn't ask them for an airplane. I want a scooter. And I said a scooter simply because a wheelchair is touching the floor and you got to touch the wheels. So I just don't understand when we have all these things put in place and nobody act upon it. I shouldn't have been the first one to recognize the fact that you don't even have a mobility scooter down at municipalities, even down at the event center. And I was told they have made some changes at the event center. Instead of walking that long hall, they are opening those double doors that can get you easier to the front to get to the elevator. Well, good and fine, because when I was last down there, they said to me, I'm not going to let you walk that long hallway. Come through these double doors. It's an easier access to the parking lot. And I appreciated that. But I hope and pray that our city recognize the fact that they haven't put things in place that should be. Why do we have a disability board? What are they doing? I was on it. I came off because I don't feel that I have to have potlucks. I want business to be taken care of. I will not attend a meeting if it's just lip chat. I go for action. So I just hope and pray Elton is there, that he sees some things and he move upon it. It's just reasonable accommodation. And that letter was well written. And I congratulate the person for it. They said, I'm not signing. Why are you going to exclude people or children? I just don't get it. I was listening to Sandra this morning on WHIG, and yes, I did call in. They was talking about Elton and the city council. They said that they didn't give the citizens any warning as they was getting ready to promote him. Well, no matter what, it's going to be some controversy. If you let people know or if you don't let them know. And it's going to be controversy simply because, and I'm bold enough to say it, he's black. And I said to her, that position is just like being the vice president. If the president leaves, the vice moves up. Same concept, different wording. Assistant vice. Same thing, interchangeable. So people need to stop fussing about simple things. And we need to move on with business. It's all about doing what's right. All of us got a scarlet letter on our forehead. Some know about it, some don't. Who are you to throw the first stone? Cast it. If you have never done anything wrong. I know I have. And this is why me and my personality, my attitude, give people a second chance. I was the first to say I was after Elton. But after I really sit down and process and thought about the things I've done in my life, I'm not gonna say negative things about him anymore. So I hope others take that same attitude. We as a people got to learn that loose lips sink ships. All of us have been wrong by the sight of God. If he gives you a chance, why can't I? Why can't you? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your call and comments there this morning. It's Wncr-Tv Now as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation this morning. And what I was going to talk about was the distribution of sales tax revenue in North Carolina. Of course, each county has an opportunity to levy an additional sales tax. But then there's some money that goes into a statewide sales tax pool that is then redistributed to the counties or municipalities within North Carolina. And here's the thing about sales tax collection. That is that Nash County, Edgecombe County, Wilson County, and all other counties across the state receive dollars that they actually did not participate in bringing in per se directly. Okay. So when you look at General Statute 105-486, is distribution of additional taxes, they give you a breakdown as the multiplying factor as to what counties receive their proportionate share or adjusted share of the state sales tax based on really the economic conditions of that community and the per capita, essentially the per capita of the community. So, so when people talk about, well, this particular area didn't help participate in, i.e., our most recent conversation, occupancy tax, that same factor is very much true in our sales tax redistribution across the state. And there may be some people who are concerned about that and say, well, all the sales tax that Mecklenburg County collects should stay in Mecklenburg County. Well, Mecklenburg County residents may feel the same way. However, there are people in Raleigh who felt as though Mecklenburg County is benefiting by surrounding counties or other things in the state. And so therefore, all those sales that are generated in that most populous county in our state will be distributed throughout other counties. So Edgecombe County is a benefactor of sales tax dollars that's collected, and also online sales tax revenue that is collected as well. And so the redistribution of sales tax has been a thing that's been going on. In fact, this was, I think, done in 2000. No municipality shall receive funds under this section if it was incorporated effective date after January the 1st, 2000. So, wow. So if you form a new city, I wonder, has a new city been formed at 2000? Probably not. But it says distribution between counties and cities, the amount allocated each taxing county shall be divided among the county and its municipalities according to the method set forth by 1% less of the use tax levied in the county pursuant to Article 39 of this chapter, or Chapter 1096 of the 1967 session laws as distributed. So Mecklenburg County gets 0.89% of a sales tax redistribution. Meanwhile, you got a county like Dare that gets 1.49%. Yeah, that's there you go. So you can read about that as well as the way the sales tax is redistributed throughout our state. And again, that was an opportunity to help basically stabilize that, because it people who, and this is the other thing I was talking to them yesterday or whatever day it was, and we think about people who are elected from various districts or various wards or things of this nature, but ultimately when they are on those boards, i.e. a library board, right, they are representative of the entire library. When you are elected to a city council seat, you are maybe elected from a ward, but your job is to represent the entirety of the city. When you are at a county commissioner, you are elected from a district, but your responsibility is to take care of the entire county. Same is true on the statewide level. You are elected from a district, but you are responsible for the entire state. And so there shouldn't be any picking winners and losers. It is, how do we all rise together? Because what's good for, i.e. our local community, Nash County, is good for Edgecombe County in that regard. And so those are some things that you certainly should take in consideration. Let me see. So the change took place in 2016. Here it is. There's a lot of buzz around local sales tax reform in the past legislation. Several different proposals were introduced, ranging from the change of allocation methods for existing local sales tax, now converting local sales tax into state tax. Many efforts were aimed to provide increased resources to rural areas in the state, some at the expense of urban areas. The legislator arrived at a compromise of sorts. In this reflection of Section 32-18, 32.18 and 32.19 of Section Law 2015-249 State Budget, the new provision makes a few significant changes, including expanding the sales tax base to include certain services, sharing a portion of state sales tax proceeds with counties and municipalities, and reallocating the expected increase in proceeds generated by 3 of the local sales tax due to the base of expansion to certain counties according to the statutory formula. The third change being made is to address the local sales tax leakage as a result from the different revenue sharing capacities of the local option sales tax of each taxing jurisdiction. So currently, this is at this time, local sales tax and the use of authority. It says counties levy sales tax and use tax, a local tax and use tax made up of 2 separate components: sales tax on the retail sales or least tangible personal property or on the rental of motel and hotel rooms, and excise tax on rights or use to consume private. So excise tax would be utility right of ways and things of that nature, is what they kind of do that on. Counties are authorized to levy at a 2.25% of general local sales tax and use tax. Mecklenburg County has additional general sales tax and use tax authority pursuant to a local act. Every county has the authority to levy sales tax and use tax for transportation purposes. The 2.25% general tax authority comprised of 4 separate taxes. Again, so all those things, but ultimately, I'll read all that to say that the distribution of the taxing formula in North Carolina, it now makes it that taxes collected in other counties, other municipalities, are actually shared with other counties and other municipalities across this state. That has been going on prior to 2016 and reformed even greater in 2016 with the idea that we need a ever-growing state of North Carolina, so to look after the rural areas in our community, one, in hopes to increase the opportunity for more population, thus having North Carolina continue to grow in population size as it has over the past decade or so and continue to grow to this day. So that's something to certainly think about as well. Let's say good morning, Sierra. I want to say good morning to John Jordan, Irma Maxwell, Betty Archambault, Alice Davis, Reginald Manning, Gwendolyn Swain, Maxine Simmons, James Bullock, Deborah Gunter, Candy Staten, Melissa Weaver, Jacqueline Leonard Randolph, Vernice Harris, Linda Cooper, Al Bullock, and Donovan Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in to WNCR-TV Now as we continue to talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. And thank those who shared the Facebook Live video as well. Let's look through these comments here. Good morning. Yep. What about Ann Wall, assistant city manager? They hired Small Tony. She did not move up. She went to Greenville. Wonder why she did not get the job. I'm going back here. Okay, so let me think. I was having to remember in my head what was going on during that particular time. I'll just go back, I guess, to Steve Raper. So when Steve Raper retired, of course, Charles Penny was promoted to city manager of the city of Rocky Mountain, stayed his tenure for how many ever years he stayed. I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's 5 or 7. And then upon his retirement, then Rochelle Small Tony came in as the next city manager for the city of Rocky Mount. And I'm trying to figure out where did Steve Raper come from? But Steve Raper, an internal hire or an external, I think he was in, or did he come from Goldsboro for some odd reasons, what I want to think. But I really, does anybody know if Steve Raper was any of those historians there? Because I really can't really remember, but it seems like there was a Goldsboro connection somewhere With doesn't anyway. So fast forward to 2016, 2017. Maybe this person may know. Hey, caller. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bronson. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Hope you are.
Fine. I hope your grandmother's doing better. The reason I put that little, I listened to your caller, and she said, well, Elton moved up because he was assistant city manager, and he ought to move up. That's like being the president's gone, and the vice president automatically moves up. Well, Ann Wall was assistant city manager, and they didn't give her an opportunity to move up. And that was my only reason for putting that on there, so she would know that it's not automatic that just because you're assistant city manager, that you get the job as city manager. It doesn't go that way.
Sure.
And so I just want her to realize that I'm not in city government, but I do know that you could be assistant city manager for 10 years and never get the job.
Right, like Peter, for instance, right? He was interim, but never. Yeah, got it. Thank you, sir.
But okay, and I hope you have a good day.
Do you remember whether or not Steve Raper was he working in Rocky Mount before he got the job, or was he from another county? I think he was from another county.
From another county.
Yeah, he was. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
All right. Yeah, I thought so, and for some reason I want to say it was from like he was down in Wayne County, working in Goldsboro as an assistant city manager or city manager or something like that, and then came up to Rocky Mount. But out there, I think it was Bill Batchelor or something. But so yeah, back to that situation. The Ann Wall situation, I would assume she applied for the city manager's position when Charles Penny left. We know that soon after, well, not soon after, but sometime thereafter, she did leave Rocky Mount and go over to Charlotte, North Carolina, and become assistant city manager down there. And then upon leaving Charlotte, she did then end up landing a city manager's position in Greenville, North Carolina. And then from Greenville, North Carolina, I think now after retiring in North Carolina system, I think she's in Virginia working in local government of that way, if I'm not mistaken. So there are folks who follow folks in local government. But to that point, I really think, I could be wrong, but I don't know. I'm probably right, but I think it would have been, and you don't know because it didn't happen this way, but a challenge for Rocky Mount to have a nationwide search to try to locate a city manager to manage this city and move it forward. When you look at the last two nationwide searches, which yielded Rochelle Small-Toney and the way she left the city, which yielded Keith Rogers and the way he left the city, I don't know if anybody would have applied for the job based on the way the last city managers ended up departing themselves from leadership role or the leadership role in the city of Rocky Mount. So, again, I think that obviously the city elected not to spend time, effort, and resources in hiring and contracting out a national firm, paying them $15,000 to $20,000 to maybe yield someone that they end up getting rid of in a year or whatever. And so one of the benefits of hiring, I guess, internally is one of the comments that Mayor Sandy Robertson made Monday night was, since he's been the mayor here, he's been going through managers, so to speak, and trying to build a relationship. And so at least now, the city manager is one whom he's already has some semblance of a relationship with, or an actual relationship with. And so it should make the transition and understanding, council members understanding the community that much better. And really, I think, put Rocky Mount on a fast track path for growth and economic development. So I think they made a reasonable decision and action of the council to understand the dynamics. On the counter to that, and I say that to point out Wilmington, North Carolina, who is having a city manager search, and they had over 80 applicants who applied, and they narrowed it down now to 6 applicants for the city of Wilmington. Now I get it. Wilmington's much different from Rocky Mount. You've got some more offerings. You got the waterfront. You got, whatever, larger population. But I think in contrast, until we have some stabilization, I think in local government, when we see thought-provoking planning, when we see less contentious city council member meetings, then and only then I think we put ourselves on a track record that a national search may be another way to go. And to that point, of many messages I've seen across social media, there seems to be a lot of happiness from others who are saying, hey, city got it right this time, promoting from within, and gave their logic and rationale behind it. And so to me, despite what there may be some conversation about Mr. Daniels, it seems as though the overwhelming majority of the residents of the city of Rocky Mount is supportive of him being in a leadership role as a city manager of Rocky Mount. And for me, that is a conversation that we should promote. The conversation of how do we bridge the gap between poverty and excellence, I'll say, so that we are really driving out, and not even driving, I think that may be the most improper word, but actually building up, I think is better, building up those walls or those holes of poverty in our community. And how do we really rid ourselves of homelessness in our community, right? How do we do that? How do we tell people who are out on the streets, here's some gainful employment opportunity, here's some transitional housing, but here's a step plan you've got to follow, because otherwise you can find yourself back on the streets. And in fact, we're not going to wait to the end of the program that you can be back on the streets. We're going to monitor it from day 1 to day 12 to day 24, whatever the program is, to ensure that you're making the necessary steps, because Rocky Mount is about ending homelessness in our community and taking it from where you are to a gainful opportunity in employment, to being a homeowner or a renter or whatever it is, so that you are not on the streets, that you're not panhandling for monies and these type of things, because we are putting things in place and connecting people with resources and making sure that those agencies are held accountable for tracking this person's success. The success monitor, it should be what it is. And then there's other areas in our community that we can certainly do better in as well. Hey, caller, good morning.
Well, Mr. Bronson, I did respond to that gentleman's question. I said if she was qualified. He didn't say that. And that is the key word, qualifications. Maybe she didn't have some qualifications. Maybe she wasn't really interested in the position simply because she went to Greenville, I believe that's what you said. But nevertheless, if I was here and felt that her qualification and her longevity had been in the right place and she qualified for the position, I would have rallied behind her just like I have for Elton. Thank you.
Thank you. So I said, Ray, we're from Kinston. Thank you, Susan Vick, for letting me know that. Yeah, I thought he wasn't from here. But I will say this. Now Raper was the city manager, I think, for the city of Rocky Mount for 12 years. I think it was 12 years that he served as a city manager in Rocky Mount. And he was not a internal hire. But I don't know what made that dynamic work. Again, personality clashes, I get it. There's a whole bunch of situations that could occur as to why. Again, Rochelle stayed here for 4.5 years, and so I think still living here to this day. And so, I don't know, but I do think that it does have a damper on local government's authority or ability to recruit and retain talent. I just think that is the case. And so I will say, though, Rocky Mount has been a producer of a number of fire chiefs, has been a producer of a number of police chiefs, has been a producer now of city managers, even in our recent. Again, you think about the name Ann Wall, who, again, was assistant city manager here in Rocky Mount and later became the city manager of Greenville. Again, she took a trip to Charlotte first for a couple of years and worked down there. and then landed a job in Greenville. You think about Latasha Ford, who was assistant city manager here in Rocky Mount as well. And she is the city manager. Man, it just slipped me. It's over by Charlotte. I can't think of what it is right now. But anyway, she's a city manager over there. Let me just look her up because that's crazy. It's High Point. I think it's High Point. Let me see. High Point city manager. I think it just came to me. Yeah, she's city manager over there at High Point. And so, again, you look at Charles Penny, who became the city manager of Rocky Mount, who then became a city manager down in Georgia. Tom Moten, he was assistant city manager before he came here, but he's assistant city manager, deputy city manager, whatever it is, down in Wilmington. So, there have been a number of people. Natasha Hampton Clayton. I believe she's a city manager somewhere now. Of course, she might have been assistant city manager before when she came here as well. But she's a city manager of a community as well. And so, and you think about fire chiefs. So there's Vance County has now gotten a new fire chief right here from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. You think about Henry King, who went on to be a police chief down in the city of Edenton. I think about Tom Bayshore, who worked for the Rocky Mount Police Department, who later went on to be the police chief over in Nashville Police Department. I mean, the list goes on for the number of people who have come through Rocky Mount and went somewhere else. Of course, people are not going to stay here forever, so we get that too, right? That is just what it is. That's the nature of jobs. So, all in all, I just hope that we gravitate to an area of more positive talk about Rocky Mount. And I get it. You can't ignore what is going on. So we get that as well. But at the same token, I think we have spent so much of our precious time fighting beyond counties, fighting amongst people, that we fail to realize and appreciate a lot of the growth that is taking place in our city. And it don't feel like it's been a lot of growth because oftentimes to those people who don't feel like there's a lot of growth in our city, you have spent more time focused on the negative than you have on the positive. You can go back to the city council's minutes and then actually notate those with verifiable projects that has happened. And you see that there's growth in new housing availability into our community. There's opportunity for new retail space in our community as well, for people coming, for different things coming online. And so there's more employment opportunities. Now, we've got some issues with the way government is right now with tariffs and looking at Cummins and the potential layoff there and Pfizer's layoffs, with, building a robust system during COVID and expansion with medicine is got to kind of get that whole situation rectified. But that's not a local issue. That's some of those issues are impacted by national decisions that you and I have no control over, except for who we elect to send to Congress to work and who we elect to make the president of the United States of America. Those, we play our role there, and hopefully we send the right people to their prospective seats at all levels so that we can see that growth. But I think oftentimes what we fail to do in our communities is we fail to highlight the positive, because what gets the stories on television, what gets the stories in newspapers, what's going to get the stories on the radio is who shot somebody, who's taking this or who's doing that. And yet we don't forget, we forget about the 50 units downtown or 60 units downtown, the 54 units in Meadowbrook, now the 64 units, now 54 coming, and all these other things and the new business opportunities. Caller, good morning.
Mr. Bronson, this morning when I was listening to WHIG, Sandra made the comment of all the wards that was up for re-election. And to my understanding, those councilmen who's currently a city councilman, they're going to have to work this year for those positions. Tell me a lot of new players is coming to the table. So I'm going to wait and see. But I don't know what's going on or why do they feel that there is a need for change. But tell me some new players is coming to town. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, the filing for elections is in July. The election will be held in October this year. And so those who will be filing for their prospective seats, again, the seats that are up for election this October is Ward 2. Ward 2, Ward 3. Ward, it ain't Ward 5, I don't think. Ward 6 and Ward 7. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so there it is. So it's Ward 2, 3, 6, and 7. Those are the 4 wards that are up for election. So Ward 2 is held by Councilman Reuben Blackwell. Ward 3, Councilman Richard Joyner. Ward 6 is Councilman Tom Harris. And Ward 7 is Councilman Jabaris Walker. So those are the 4 wards that are up for election this year. And want to say good morning to Star Grace, Troy Davis, Mary Helen, Commissioner Harris, Ray Daughtry, as well as Lorraine Pitts. I think that's it. Yeah. So that's where we are this morning. But again, so Star Grace says, I hope they allow him to be a city manager and stop wanting to get rid of people the time a person disagrees with the city manager's decision, especially when it benefits citizens. I hope this black city manager has a fair opportunity. So there you go. There. Oh, good morning also to Mike Jones. Thank you for tuning in to WNCR-TV Now. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for me to get up out of here, but we thank you for tuning in to WNCR-TV Now as we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. And so we'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again from 8 o'clock until 9. So obviously I don't even try to say 7:30-ish anymore. It is almost 8-ish now too. But we'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock until 9 or 9 or so as we talk about things impacting our state, our city, and our nation. Make it a great, great, great Wednesday. Don't forget Pop's Dine is open from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. To get your dining opportunities of hot dogs, hamburgers. We've got turkey hot dogs as well. Is available at Pop's Diner. Again, we open Sunday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. And yesterday, I had a lot of people coming to Gotta Have It Auto Sales in Rocky Mount too. That's 1211 North Wesleyan Boulevard, who's looking for vehicles, and we're trying to get people placed in vehicles as best as we can. Again, as long as you're working with us, okay, you got to give us something to work with. Okay, so that's that. I can't say where everybody's approved at Gotta Have It Auto Sales because it has to make sense for sure. But we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to do it all over again on WNCR TV Now. Make it a great and fantastic Wednesday.